Imagine for a moment that time is not a clock ticking away, but a river flowing through us, gentle, vast, and infinite. Every choice we make, every pause we take, ripples through the current, shaping not only our days, but the quiet rhythm of our becoming. To work smarter is not simply to outwit the hours, but to listen to the silence between tasks, to the wisdom hidden in stillness, to the divine choreography that whispers that life is not a race, but a dance. The challenges we face, the delays we curse, the interruptions we resist, perhaps they are not obstacles at all, but notes in a greater symphony, reminding us to move with intention, not haste. For what if the true secret of time is not in managing it, but in harmonizing with it? And in that harmony, we discover that every moment is already sacred, and so are we, threads in the eternal tapestry of existence. We wake up every morning with something more valuable than money, more precious than gold. But here's the catch. You don't see it in your bank account. You can't hold it in your hand, and once it's gone forever. It's time. And yet, we treat it like it's endless. We burn hours scrolling through a feed, saying yes to things we don't care about, filling our calendars with obligations that drain us. But time isn't endless. It's finite. It's sacred. Every minute is like a coin you'll never get back once you spend it. Think about it. If someone stole $100 from you, you'd feel it instantly. But when we lose 100 minutes just letting them slip away, we don't flinch. We don't even notice. But that's the greater loss because money can be replaced. Time can't. Now, here's where working smarter comes in. Most people think productivity is about squeezing more things into the same amount of hours. It's not. It's about choosing what deserves your time in the first place. Because every moment you spend, whether it's an hour on a project, a phone call with someone you love, or 10 minutes of silence staring at the ceiling, is an investment into the life you're building. You're either building a future that's meaningful to you, or you're scattering your energy across distractions that don't add up to anything. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're holding a bucket of water. That bucket is your day. Now imagine punching tiny holes in the bottom of it. Little leaks called mindless scrolling, unnecessary obligations, busy work you could have said no to. You don't notice it at first, but drop by drop, the water drains. By the time you get to the end of the day, you're empty. And the scary part, you don't even remember what you poured yourself out for. That's what happens when you treat time casually. You don't lose it all at once, you leak it. One distraction, one careless yes, one wasted hour at a time. But when you flip that perspective, when you start treating time as sacred, you stop letting it leak away. You stop scattering it. You begin to spend it with intention, like a master craftsman placing every piece exactly where it belongs. And suddenly, life starts to look and feel different. Because here's the truth. Most of us don't need more time. We just need to honor the time we already have. You get the same 24 hours as the greatest minds, the greatest leaders, the most fulfilled people who ever lived. Lead. The difference isn't in how much time they were given. The difference is in how they spent it. So what does this look like practically? It looks like saying no to things that don't align with who you are or where you're going. It looks like protecting the first hour of your day and giving it to what matters most, instead of handing it away to email or noise. It looks like noticing the small leaks in your bucket and patching them before you end up drained again. And it also looks like pausing. You see, when you realize time is sacred, you stop rushing. You stop treating every moment like a race against the clock. You start noticing the texture of life, the way the sun feels on your face in the morning, the sound of your kids' laugh, the stillness before the world wakes up. You start valuing not just how much you did in a day, but how deeply you lived it. That's what working smarter really is. It's not about tricks and hacks and doing 10 things at once. It's about living in a way that reflects this truth. Your time is your life. And every time you say yes to something meaningless, you're saying no to something sacred. And maybe, just maybe, the real secret isn't about managing time at all. It's about remembering that time's managing you. It's shaping who you are becoming. Because the way you spend your hours becomes the way you spend your years. And the way you spend your years That's the story of your life. So let me leave you with this. You don't own time. You only get to borrow it. And the only question that matters is, are you spending it in a way that makes this borrowed life worth living? That if you just grind harder, wake up earlier, push longer, then eventually, you'll get where you want to be. And don't get me wrong, effort matters. Nothing great is built without it. But here's the trap. Hard work by itself doesn't guarantee fulfillment. You can work tirelessly, day and night, and still end up empty if your effort isn't aligned with what actually matters. Think about it. You could spend years climbing a ladder, only to realize it's been leaning against the wrong wall the whole time. That's the tragedy of blind effort. It takes you somewhere, but not necessarily where you want to go. That's why working smarter isn't about pushing harder. It's about aligning your energy with your values, your purpose, and the life you actually want to create. Alignment is the difference between exhaustion and momentum, between scattered effort and meaningful progress. Let me give you an example. Imagine rowing a boat. If you're rowing with all your strength but pointing in the wrong direction, you'll never get to your destination. But if you take a moment, pause, and align the boat with the current, suddenly you don't need to row as hard. The river starts to carry you. That's alignment. When your effort and your direction agree, you stop fighting against yourself and you start flowing with your life. So here's the real question. Where is your effort going right now? Are you busy or are you purposeful? Are you pouring yourself into things that move you closer to the life you want? Or are you stuck in patterns that just keep you running in circles? That's why so many people are tired all the time, not because they aren't working hard, but because they're working hard on the wrong things. You can feel it when you're out of alignment. You feel drained. You feel resentful. You start asking yourself, what's the point of all this? On the other hand, when you're aligned, everything changes. Your energy increases, not decreases. You can work long hours, but it doesn't feel like sacrifice. It feels like momentum. You know those moments where you lose track of time, where the work pulls you in and excites you? That's what happens when your effort is aligned with your values. That's when working smarter takes root. And here's the thing. Alignment doesn't mean life will suddenly be easy. It just means the struggle has meaning. It means the mountain you're climbing is the one you actually want to stand on top of. That difference is everything. So how do you know if you're aligned? You start by asking better questions. Not, how can I get more done today? But what's worth doing today? Not, how can I prove myself?
Yeah.
But what am I building that matters? You slow down just long enough to check whether the ladder you're climbing leads to a place you actually want to go. And yes, this requires honesty. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't have time to be still. But let me flip that. You don't have time not to be still. Because when you skip silence, you lose clarity. You waste energy chasing things that don't matter. You end up working harder, not smarter. But when you pause, you save yourself from hours of misdirected effort. This is the paradox. Stillness creates speed. Silence creates wisdom. Pausing actually accelerates progress because it ensures you're moving in the right direction. And maybe that's what we're all really craving. Not more hours in the day, but more space in the hours we already have. A chance to stop running and just be. A moment to ask ourselves, is this the life I want to be building? Is this the path I want to be walking? The irony is the world's greatest breakthroughs didn't come from people drowning in busyness. They came from people who gave themselves permission to step back. Scientists staring out of windows, artists wandering through fields, leaders sitting in silence before making decisions. The pause is not a break from progress. It's the birthplace of it. So here's what I want you to try. Instead of filling every moment with noise, experiment with small doses of silence. Protect the first 10 minutes of your morning. Drive without the radio on. Leave a pocket of stillness between tasks instead of jumping to the next thing. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will resist. It will itch to check the phone, to fill the gap. But if you push through that resistance, you'll find something powerful waiting for you on the other side. Clarity, direction, peace. Because here's the reality. If you don't create silence for yourself, life will eventually force it on you. Burnout, exhaustion, overwhelm, they're just the body's way of demanding the stillness you've been avoiding. But you don't have to wait until you crash. You can choose stillness before life chooses it for you. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. You stop racing the clock. You stop living in survival mode. You begin to work with time, not against it. You begin to hear the quiet wisdom that says, slow down. This matters. That doesn't. Choose differently. That is the art of working smarter. Realizing that silence is not a waste. It is the secret. Stillness is not the opposite of productivity. It is the foundation of it. So the next time you feel that pull to fill the silence, resist it. Let the pause exist. Because in that pause, life is speaking. And if you're willing to listen, it will tell you exactly where to go. And sometimes the smartest move you can make in a noisy world is simply to be still. Every single one of us wakes up every morning with more demands than we can possibly meet. Emails waiting, notifications buzzing, deadlines stacking up, people pulling us in 100 directions. And what do? We try to do it all. We say yes when we want to say no. We treat every task like it's life or death, urgent, and then we wonder why we feel scattered, stressed, and exhausted. But here's the truth. Not everything in your life deserves your time. Not every request deserves your yes. Not every task is created equal. If you want to work smarter, not harder, you have to master one of the hardest disciplines of all, discernment. Discernment is the ability to separate the noise from the signal, the urgent from the important, the distraction from the destiny. It's the ability to stop treating every demand as if it's sacred and start asking, does this actually matter? Because here's what happens when you don't. Urgency takes over. And urgency is sneaky. It feels important. It screams for attention. It pressures you into reacting. But the urgent is not always important. Most of the time, it's just loud. Think about your inbox. 90% of what shows up there is urgent in someone else's mind, but it's not important to the life you're building. Or think about those endless tasks you add to your to-do list just so you can feel productive checking them off. That's the trap of urgency. It keeps you busy, but it rarely makes you better. Now, flip that. What happens when you start choosing importance over urgency? You begin to design your day instead of react to it. You stop scattering your effort and start directing it toward what actually shapes your future. This isn't easy because choosing what matters requires courage. It means saying no when you know someone might be disappointed. It means letting go of perfection because you can't do it all. It means sitting with the discomfort of leaving some things undone so that the right things can finally get done. But here's what's on the other side of that courage: freedom. Suddenly, you have energy again. You have clarity again. You feel lighter because you're no longer carrying the weight of things that don't actually matter. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're holding a jar. If you fill it first with sand and pebbles, all the small, urgent, trivial stuff, you won't have room for the big rocks, the things that truly matter. Your health, your relationships, your purpose, your growth. But if you start with the big rocks, if you put those in first, the smaller stuff can always fit around them. That's how life works. If you don't prioritize the important, the urgent will always consume you. So ask yourself right now, what are my big rocks? What actually matters to me? Is it building my business? Is it showing up for my kids? Is it protecting my health? Is it finally writing that book or starting that project or creating that life I keep saying I want? Because here's the deal. If you don't choose what matters, the world will choose for you. And the world doesn't care about your purpose. The world will fill your calendar with things that drain you. That's why working smarter means becoming the gatekeeper of your own time. It means protecting it like treasure, because it is treasure. Now, some people hear this and think it sounds selfish, darker, or free, but it's not. It's stewardship. It's the recognition that your energy, your focus, your time, they're not infinite. They're precious resources. And if you waste them on the trivial, you rob not just yourself, but the people who depend on you of the best version of you. This is the shift. Working harder is about doing more. Working smarter is about doing what matters most. So here's a practice I want you to try. At the beginning of your day, before the chaos pulls you in, ask yourself, if I only get one thing done today, what's the one thing that will matter most? And then guard it. Make room for it. Build your day around it. That single habit will transform not just your productivity, but your life. Because in the end, no one will remember how fast you answered your emails or how quickly you checked boxes on a list. They'll remember how present you were, how much you loved, what you built, and who you became. That's the legacy of choosing what matters. And the truth is, when you learn to make that choice consistently, you don't just win the day, you win your life. So let me leave you with this. Your time will always be too short for everything, but it will always be enough for what matters most. Here's something I want you to really think about. How often do you feel like you're chasing time? Like no matter how fast you move, you're always a step behind, running late, rushing deadlines, feeling like the day is slipping through your fingers. It's exhausting. And here's the kicker. The harder you chase time, the faster it seems to run. But what if the problem isn't time? What if the problem is the way we're moving with it? Because here's the truth. Time isn't an enemy you have to outrun. It's a rhythm you're invited to join. And the secret to working smarter isn't about beating the clock. It's about finding flow. Flow is that magical state where you lose yourself in what you're doing. Hours disappear, effort feels lighter, and you're not pushing, you're gliding. It's that moment when you're so present, so locked into the task, that time stops being something you chase and starts being something you dance with. And you've felt it before. Maybe it was writing. Maybe it was building something. Maybe it was a deep conversation that made you forget the world outside the room. You looked up and thought, wait, where did the last 3 hours go? That's flow. That's alignment and presence colliding. Now, here's the mistake most people make. They try to chase flow the same way they chase productivity. They think, if I just grind harder, maybe I'll get into it. But flow doesn't show up because you force it. Flow shows up when you create the conditions for it. So what are those conditions? And first, clarity. If you don't know what matters, if you don't know what you're aiming for, you'll never hit that rhythm. Second, focus. Flow only comes when you cut out distractions and give yourself permission to be fully here. And third, surrender. You can't micromanage flow. You have to let it carry you. Think about dancing. If you're stiff, overthinking every step, you can't enjoy the music. But when you let go, when you trust the rhythm, your body moves naturally. That's what working in flow feels like. It's not frantic. It's not forced. It's a partnership with time. And here's the beautiful part. Flow doesn't just make you more productive. It makes you more alive. Because when you're in it, you're not worried about yesterday or anxious about tomorrow. You're here, fully. And that presence, that immersion, is where life actually happens. But I know what some of you are thinking. That sounds nice, but I don't have hours to disappear into flow. I've got responsibilities, meetings, constant interruptions, and I hear you. The truth is, we live in a world designed to break our focus, which is exactly why creating space for flow has to be intentional. That means setting boundaries. It means carving out sacred pockets of time where you put the phone down, close the tabs, and go all in. Even 90 minutes of focused, undistracted flow will do more for your life than an entire day of scattered busyness. And here's the paradox. The more you practice flow, the more time seems to expand for you. It's like you stop running on the surface of life and start moving with the current underneath. You get more done in less time, not because you're rushing, but because you're rooted. And maybe that's the deeper lesson here. Time was never meant to be chased. It was meant to be danced with. The more you resist it, the more it slips away. But the moment you surrender, the moment you align with it, it meets you exactly where you are. So let me ask you, what's stealing your flow? Is it the endless notifications? The pressure to multitask? The guilt of slowing down? Because until you name it, you can't change it. And what's one thing you could do tomorrow to protect your flow? Maybe it's blocking off an hour to work on that project without interruptions. Maybe it's starting your morning with silence instead of scrolling. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to get lost in something that lights you up. Because here's the thing, when you learn to dance with time, life stops feeling like a race. You stop gasping for air and you start breathing again. You stop chasing and you start moving with grace. And once you taste that, you'll never want to go back. So let me leave you with this. Stop sprinting after time. You'll never catch it. Instead, step into the rhythm that's already here. Flow isn't about controlling time. It's about becoming one with it. And when you do, you'll realize the smartest way to live isn't to fight time at all. It's to finally dance with it. At the end of the day, when you finally put your head on the pillow, what do you measure your life by? Is it the number of boxes you checked off your list? The emails you sent? The errands you rushed through? No, that's not what stays with you. What stays with you are the moments that mattered. The laughter at dinner, the courage to take one small step toward a dream, the decision to spend your time on something that filled you, not just drained you. And yet, here's where so many of us get stuck. We confuse productivity with purpose. We treat our lives like one giant to-do list, as if the measure of our worth is how much we can cross off before the day ends. But no one is going to stand at your funeral and read your completed checklists. They're going to talk about the impact you had, the love you gave, the way you lived. That's the difference between tasks and legacy. Tasks are temporary. Legacy is timeless. See, working harder will help you get through more tasks. But working smarter, when it's rooted in alignment, stillness, and flow, helps you build a legacy. And that's what truly matters. Here's the shift. Every decision you make today is shaping not just your schedule, but your story. Every yes, every no, every moment of focus. It all adds up. It all becomes the person you are becoming. Think of it like this. Your life is a mosaic. Every day is one small tile. Some days you add a piece that shines, an act of kindness, a risk taken, a moment of presence. Other days you might add a piece that feels dull, routine, unremarkable. But over time, those little pieces come together, and one day you'll step back and see the picture of your life. And the question is, will that picture reflect what truly mattered to you, or will it just be a blur of tasks you rush through? Legacy doesn't happen someday in the far-off future. Legacy is built in the small daily choices you're making right now. It's built in how you spend your mornings, how you treat the people you love, how you show up for yourself, even when no one's watching. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like asking yourself, not just what do I need to get done today, but who do I want to become today? It looks like protecting time with your family as fiercely as you protect time with your work. It looks like saying yes to the projects that scare you because they stretch you, and no to the obligations that only shrink you. And it looks like remembering this. Your greatest contribution won't be how busy you were. It will be how present you were. Because presence creates connection, and connection is what people carry with them long after the task is forgotten. Legacy also requires courage. The courage to live differently in a culture obsessed with doing more. The courage to step back and define success on your own terms, not the world's. The courage to say, I don't just want to get through the day. I want to build a life that outlives the day. And the truth is, when you live this way, you actually become more productive. Because suddenly, you're not wasting energy on things that don't matter. You're focused. You're intentional. You're choosing not just tasks, but meaning. So let me ask you, when you look back on today, 10 years from now, what will you see? Will it be a blur of busyness? Or will it be a day that added to the story you want to tell? Because this is it. This is your life, not someday, not in the future, right now. And the way you choose to spend your time today will echo long after today is gone. So stop measuring your days by how much you got done. Start measuring them by how much you lived, by how much you loved, by how much you aligned with who you're here to be. That's the real secret to working smarter. Not to fill the day with tasks, but to fill it with legacy. So as you walk out of here, remember this. Tasks may end when the day does, but legacy lasts forever.